Hello, you're listening to Mike Madden on the Art Show podcast. Here you'll find interviews with authors, musicians, artists and anyone else in and around the arts. Some of the interviews are taken direct from the Art Show on Expat Radio, with one or two specials in between. This show features regular guest, author Caro Land, talking about her latest novel, Convictions, with her third publisher, Bloodhound Books. Hello, this is Mike Madden on the Art Show on Expat Radio, and don't forget to check out our Facebook page and let us know where you're listening in from. Now, tonight, I've got a very good friend of the show coming back to speak to us. It's a bit like slipping on your slippers, sitting in front of a roaring fire and drinking a mug of hot chocolate, speaking to this lady. So welcome back to the show, Caro Land.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here and joining you all.
And of course, it's not quite Caro Land at the moment, is it? Because you've got a new pen name, a very clever pen name as it happens. So you've just released your new book, Convictions, under the name of Caro Land. Whose idea was that?
Well, the idea of the name itself was obviously me taking the first half of my name and the last of my Christian name and the second of my surname. But people have been trying it. Have you tried it? What would you have been? McDun.
Mitch Den, yeah, probably.
Mitch Den, yes.
But yours could have been Car Land, couldn't it? Which sounds like a very dodgy second-hand car dealer.
Yes. Car Land. I could be Caro Land or us. But yes, so that was how I came about for the pen name. But the reason I've gone for a pen name is because I'm still being published by Piatkus of Little Brown under my main Caroline England name, and they are my psychological thrillers, and they will continue. So this is a pen name because it's a slightly different genre and it's a different publisher. And they were happy for me to be Caroline England writing as Caro Land, but they wanted the two names to be distinguished.
And it's fantastic. This is your third publisher that you've struck a deal with.
That's true, yeah.
So you're obviously in demand, and this, like you say, this is a different genre for you. So just let our listeners know what Convictions is all about.
Right, okay. Convictions is, it's legal, I guess. I would describe it as legal suspense, legal drama. It's similar to my psychological books insofar as it's got drama and secrets and lies and Chinese walls and difficulties and challenges. But this time it's in a legal context. And so we have my protagonist, a fun, feisty feminist solicitor called Natalie Batch. And it's all very much from her point of view. And she's been, she's lived in Mallorca for 5 years and she's come back with a broken heart. And her old boss, Jack Goldman, offers her old job back. So she comes back and it's basically a Didsbury, again, my home village. The office, it's a suburban solicitor's office set in Didsbury. And she comes back to take over, not her old job, because that's been taken over by Smooth Wesley Hughes, but she gets stuck in as one of the new solicitors.
That's it's interesting that your protagonist is a fun, feisty feminist solicitor. So what did you do in a previous life then?
Now that's it. Yeah, I might have been one of those, but that's good because it has lots of. It's realistic, but it's fun and it's more of a light read, but it has a dark backdrop because obviously she's investigating cases. She's investigating, murder, for example, or attempted murder, and other issues. All sorts of things go on in a solicitor's office. Because it's a general practitioners, it can be anything from being tasered by a police officer to an attempted murder to some divorce work. So she gets embroiled in all sorts of dilemmas and challenges. Some are personal and some are for Goldman law. And it's that balance I've got between her personal life and the legal cases she's working.
Right. And I did see that you got a Twitter competition to find out who should play Natalie Back if she ever came to the screen. My favourite was Maxine Peake, who I think is a very good fit for the character. What was your favourite answer?
It was a tricky one, wasn't it? Because I got so many good answers from Amelia Clark, Kate Beckinsale, Emma Watson, Sheridan Smith, Vicky McCure, from, what was it called? The police drama, Line of Duty.
Oh, yeah.
And a surprising one was Catherine Tate. But I've never watched her in Doctor Who, and everyone says she's very, very good because I think of her more as, what you think you're looking at type of character.
Yeah.
But yes, but Maxine Peake was a good one. Carey Mulligan, but she, Hollywood might not want to let her go for Manchester, but you never know. Another one I very much thought of when I was writing it was Saran Jones, from Dr. Foster.
Oh yeah.
So I could see her in the role, but they were all pretty good suggestions. And in fact, the lady who won, I did my lucky dip to see who would win, and she suggested Lady Mary from Downton Abbey.
Oh right, yes.
Thackeray, is she called? I think that's how you pronounce it.
I'd have to ask my wife.
Maybe not in Lady Mary's style, but she's sort of the right age and probably the right look as well.
Yeah, I don't know why you think Hollywood would have to let somebody go to appear in it. We could just move Manchester to Hollywood and do it over there.
Okay, we'll do it then.
So Bloodhound Books are the publisher.
Yes.
How did that come about? Because you must have at least a 2-book deal, because I know Confessions is coming out in June.
Yes. Well, Bloodhound, they've always been, they have a great presence at the crime writing festivals, particularly Harrogate. And so I'd met a lot of Bloodhound other authors, and it's a man and wife team. I've never met Betsy, but I've met Fred, who run Bloodhound Books, and they're very nice people, and there's very much a warm family feel. So I've met a lot of the authors and people before, and they're all, come on, Caroline, come and join us. So my agent submitted to Bloodhound Books, and they were kind enough to take me on under Caro Land.
Excellent. Now, I was searching on Amazon for Confessions and Caroline England, but of course I didn't find it because of the Caro Land. Are you actually after a different audience with this, or are you kind of hoping there's a crossover?
Well, I'm hoping there'll be a crossover. I did try and join the Caro Land to my Caroline England author page, but they sort of don't seem to let you. But when you look at the bio of each page, so I've got a Caro Land page and I've got a Caroline England page. And when you read the bio, you'll see I'm admitting to being one and the same person. And I do think... I think my style of writing is similar. So I think people who enjoy my psychological thrillers, so My Husband's Lies, Beneath the Skin, and Betray Her, I think they will enjoy Convictions as well. Convictions has probably got more humour because I like a bit of humour going on. And Natalie has a fellow solicitor. She enlists his help to investigate certain crimes. And he's called Gavin Savage. And he's a 6'6" Glaswegian, and it's a bit non-PC, but they have great banter because obviously she's a feminist and he's not. but he's got a great mind as well, and he's a fabulous solicitor. So they make a really good team. I have lots of fun between the two characters.
And so Natalie Back, is she the protagonist in Confessions as well?
Yes, she is. Yes, yeah. It's some of the stories and the characters carry on through to the second book, but then there are new challenges and dilemmas as well in the second book. But again, I try and weave through her personal life as well as the stories. So it's very much, instead of her taking a back seat for the law, there's an equal balance, I'd say, because I'm all about characterization. That's what I really like. I mean, obviously it has to have a good plot as well, but I like a nice balance between the two.
Yeah, it's interesting with Natalie. So you've obviously got this 2-book deal, and Natalie will appear again in June. So how far are you on in the process with Confessions at the moment?
That's already been written, and that will be going through the editorial process fairly shortly. So yes, all been done. But I mean, obviously, there might be minor changes during the editorial process, but I don't think anything major will be changed now.
Right, okay. And one of the things with Convictions, your current book, is that...
Thanks for reminding me, Mike.
is that So I looked on Amazon to get my regular audiobook, and it's not there. Is there an audiobook planned?
No, it is part of the sort of deal, so to speak, that they sort of offer audio, but I guess it's whether they get an audio company interested. So that's gone a little bit quiet. So yes, please, Betsy, if you're listening, I would love an audio book because I think that's such fun. The audio bit and to listen to it and see how they interpret it and the voice and everything. I really like that.
Yeah, and I've noticed as well that audio CDs appear to be making a comeback in the audiobook market.
Really?
Yeah, I've still got a CD player in my car.
That's a good thing, though. I wish I had, because I've got so many CDs, and I know these young people, they have everything streaming, don't they, on the phones and whatnot. But I like all my old CDs.
Oh, my mum, who lives not too far from you in Sale, she's still got tapes in her car.
Oh, bless! That's brilliant.
So the last time we spoke, I think you'd just released. Obviously you'd released Betray Her, but you'd also released one of your short story collections. This was Hanged by the Net. So how are they doing?
Well, it's difficult to judge, really. I mean, they've not become overnight bestsellers. Let's put it that way. But they do seem to sell one every now and then, which is all my expectations were. But I think short stories is a funny market. I don't think there is that much demand for short stories. I think people like to write them. And I think people like to read them in magazines, for example, or maybe an anthology. But I don't know if there's that much demand for people actually buying short story collections from one author. I mean, I stand corrected. And I'm sure I'm very much influenced by Roald Dahl, and he did some short story collections, which were great. But I don't know whether they were big sellers even for him back in the day.
Yeah, I'm the same with Stephen King. He produces lots and lots of short story collections, but I'm not sure that they never seem to be prominent when you're looking for Stephen King books. It's always his novels that sort of grab your attention.
Yes, that's interesting. I didn't even know he wrote short stories, so that sort of says it all, doesn't it? I mean, someone as great as Stephen King, that I just assumed it was all novels.
Yeah, he has various formats as well. Some of them are more novellas, but he does have lots of very, very short, sort of, a few hundred words stories as well.
Wow. In a way, though, I think sometimes you have a story, but you only need maybe a few more than 100, but you don't need that many words to tell the story. Whereas a novel, you have to eke it out, don't you? You have to stretch it and fill it.
I know the feeling. It's time for us to go to a break now, and we're going to go to a previous guest on the show. This is Salts, the London-based French band, and their single On Our Way.
And we go now. Oh, on our way. Oh, on our way. Everybody stand again on the fence. I have to leave your sins, yeah. Lay down your sheet. The master is that bitch. Close the perfect fit. This is gonna be lit. Oh, on our way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, on our way. Yeah, ready, boy. Get. Oh. With my brother, connection you will discount them. Yeah, try to catch the fire. Yesterday we were strangers, and now we are fucking players. Oh, on our way, on our way, on our way. Oh. Come on, don't
Expat Digital Radio, online 24/7.
Hello, this is Mike Madden on the Arts Show on Expat Radio. That was Salt and On Our Way, and tonight we're talking to Caro Land, or Caroline England, about her new book, Convictions. Welcome back, Caroline.
Thank you. I'm still here.
Are we allowed to say Caroline England and her book, Convictions, or do we have to say Caro Land?
I think you can say Caroline England, and as long as people realise that if they want to buy it, they need to look out for Caro Land. I know, because some authors, and I know you've spoken to plenty, you've interviewed loads of people I know and who have different names, and it must get very confusing for them, because at least Caro and Caroline, I'm just missing the the line. But some people have completely different names, don't they? So
they do. I don't know about confusing for them, but sometimes it's confusing for me. So
and you don't know what to call people as well.
I know that's the worst of it, because you start interchanging the names, and it doesn't sound very good.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how many people still call, say, Elton John. Is he called Reg or something?
Yeah.
In real life, I wonder how many people call him by his original name. I could become Caro, couldn't I?
You could be, yeah. You could be. So we're now into February, and your book is now available. But what happened in January and before? Because most of us sort of hang up our work clothes and that for a couple of weeks over Christmas. Is that the same for you? Did you hang up your pen for a fortnight, or is it a constant, I've got to write something?
No, well, yes, I'm a bit, it's a bit of constant. I do obviously have a little bit of time off, but Betray Her, my psychological thriller with Little Brown, that has come out in ebook and in the large trade paperback size, but the normal UK paperback size will be launched in July. So that's book one of that particular deal, and I have a book two, and I was working on book two actually, because the initial manuscript went to my editor, and I have sort of two editors, Anna and Hannah, and they're super, and they came back with some preliminary notes, and we had a chat. So then while it was all fresh, but this was just before Christmas, while it was all fresh, I went back to that. So I was working on that sort of intermittently over Christmas.
Right.
But I do love it. I mean, I did. Obviously, I'd love it. You wouldn't do it if you didn't love it, would you?
No, you wouldn't. But I guess, so you were writing that sort of on and around Christmas.
Yes.
Are you ever working on more than one major novel at a time?
I try not to, because I think you sort of, I think the reason I cracked on with it is I think it does, for me personally, I need completely to be absorbed and really in that world, because I think if you leave the world for a bit, you forget it and you have to refresh yourself. So for me, it's really one thing at a time.
Right.
Try and keep in that world and keep in the mindset of the characters.
Yeah. Now, on another change of direction, you've got a fantastic website, and we've spoken about this before, and it seems to be kept up to date all the time. So who maintains that? Is that something that you do?
Hey, I'm impressed. I'm really rubbish at IT, so I'm really very proud that you said I've kept it up to date. Every now and then I go back to it with my little sort of to-do, sort of, this is how you do it. So I can do the very simple things, and so that's all I'm doing. But yeah, I need to get a good website, man, Mike.
My website's out of date anyway.
It's a question of time. I mean, at least you know what you're doing. Whereas for me, because I don't really know what I'm doing, I've got to really be in the mood to force myself to try and sort things out.
Yeah, I find a blog is far more easy to maintain than a whole website. I think that the static parts of the website, they just sit there. And I try and point people at a blog that I'm at least happy to publish around about once a month.
And is that on your part of your website?
It is part of the website, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that. I'm just dreadful at this sort of thing.
It's each to their own, I guess, because I do think that where you have updated your website is absolutely wonderful.
Oh, well, thank you. Maybe I'm in the whole business. I could have a whole new career.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
A couple of things on your website were the Northwich Literature Festival and the Didsbury Arts Festival. And I know that you're a big fan of festivals. You've already mentioned Harrogate, and I guess it's anywhere that they throw a glass of Prosecco in your hand. But I guess Northwich and particularly Didsbury are closer to home. So does it feel more personal to you than say, Harrogate?
Yes, it's very nice. I mean, it's always a really honour and a delight to be invited to anything. And the Didsbury Festival, it's only every other year. And I was invited this year to go along, and it was nice. But it was at the swimming baths, and for a while I did wonder whether I was going to have to go in my cosy. But it wasn't. It was in a side room. But it is nice, and it's nice to sort of have your local area support you. Northwich was nice as well, but it's Northwich. I had difficulty finding it because it was all a sort of one-way system, so I was a bit panicky that I wouldn't arrive there. But I did, and it was in a lovely little cafe, so that was great as well. And that made it feel very nice and cosy.
Yeah.
And then I was at the Chorlton Book Festival in September, and that was nice as well. And that was in at Chorlton Library. But it's really nice that I think the libraries in the Northwest, and generally libraries, but I think they're a really nice bunch of people. And they're very welcoming to authors and, local people, and trying to encourage local talent, which I think is great.
Yes, indeed. I think it's an underappreciated resource sometimes, the local library.
Absolutely, yeah. The one in Chorlton, they had a competition. And as I say, the festival was last September, but they had a short story competition, and I was one of the judges. And it was really great to read these stories. There was a short list of 6 I read, and the standard was brilliant. And there were sort of, many of them were set locally. And then they had a couple of weeks ago, they had a little event at the Edge Theatre in Chorlton where they did a little award ceremony. So it was lovely, and it was really nice. And loads of the library people were there as well supporting. So yeah, good old libraries.
Yeah, indeed. Now, you're into your 3rd publisher now, as we said earlier. So I would think people could say you are quite a successful author. So what indulgences do you now have that you didn't? I mean, is there a helicopter with Caroline on the side parked at Didsbury Golf Club or anything like that?
Yeah, well, I just sent the butler to get me another glass of Prosecco. Not really. It's funny, isn't it? It's all relative success. And I'm on an authors group on Facebook, and we all sort of people have certain gripes and everything. And they were saying how frustrating it is for authors that people are so keen to get a freebie book if they can get a freebie book, or with audio, they found a way to not have to pay and get another book and whatnot. And I think they forget how little authors are actually paid. I think the average payment for an ebook is 8p per book. So it's not a great deal of money. And then, of course, you might get your books in the works, which is great because you can get books for £2, which is really good so that people can access your work. But it means the author gets paid a very small amount of money. So I'm not complaining because I'm really honoured and glad that I've got as far as I have done in my little small way. But I don't think it's quite the wealth and success that people imagine. Some authors are obviously do brilliantly, but I think your average working author, I don't think they earn more than the minimum wage.
Right, so it's a bicycle with Caroline on the side rather than a helicopter.
It is. Although I could do with a nice new bike.
I've just bought one. I've just bought one. Picked it up on Sunday.
Oh, really? What type?
It is a hybrid bike from, am I allowed to say this on the radio? From Halfords. They made it up for me and fitted it for me. Fantastic.
Oh, lovely. That's like when you were sort of 13 and you got one for Christmas.
Yeah.
So exciting to get a new bike.
Yeah, but my old one literally fell apart because I've not used it for ages. And it had a flat. I took the wheel off and it just wouldn't go back on. All the bits fell off. So I thought it's time to get a new one.
Yeah, and also it's a real impetus to actually use it now, isn't it?
It is, yes. I'm far more looking forward to it than my old one.
Yes.
Now, you talked about a group that you were in, and I know there's a very good group that you're in because I'm in it as well, and it's 1-star reviews, a support group.
Yes. That's fun, isn't it, as well?
It is, and it focuses on 1-star reviews. I think there's a few others, but it was really the ridiculous comments that people get from readers, or sometimes they're not even readers. Sometimes they'll give you a 1-star review on Amazon because the book didn't arrive on time, which is a little bit unfair.
Yes, and I think that I think most of them, in fairness, are from readers, but I think some might be sort of more troll type of characters. because it's interesting from the group that certain names come up quite a few times, and it does make you a little suspicious as to what's really going on. I mean, I think that the thing about reviews is if someone reads your book and they genuinely can't get into it, it's not their cup of tea or whatever, I think that's fair enough. And if they want to give you 1 star, again, fair enough, as long as there's sort of a reasoning behind it. But some people just come out with quite bizarre things, like, for example, has this author done GCSE English or something like that? And you just think, and it can be quite hurtful, because writing is it's a bit like a game of tennis where you're in the final. There's just you there in the singles. You're the one with your name on the book. You've written it, and okay, you've had editorial help and whatnot, but really it's your baby. So it can be quite tough. But we don't want all 5-star reviews, do we? Because that would be boring if everyone liked everything. And you'd get a really big head, wouldn't you?
Oh, you would indeed. But I take your point. It is a bit like criticising your baby if somebody gives you a poor review. But I do think this support group helps, because it's well worth dipping into now and again just to read a few of the 1-star reviews. It
is. It's good just to vent, isn't it? I think we all need to vent about things that, even if something's fair enough, you're still a bit sort of hurt, and it's good. It's therapy.
Yeah, indeed, yes. So do you still go to the reading groups that you used to go to?
Yeah, I still go to a writers group once a week on a Tuesday, and it's literally just round the corner from where I live. So that's really good. And you go along and read a chapter, your next chapter of your book or a short story or whatnot. There's quite a few people, so sometimes you don't really get to do it every week. But obviously listening, so probably 8 or 10 people read a piece, and you learn as much from people giving you feedback as to listening to other people's work. And it's great. It's a really good learning process, I think.
Yeah, I think it is. I think people who are sort of aspire to be writers could do far worse than going to the local writing group.
I agree. Yeah, and there's bound to be. I think some people think, oh, there's nothing like that around, where I live. But I suspect if you do a search, you'd find something, or start one yourself.
Indeed. I mean, the social media these days, it shouldn't be too difficult to do things like that.
Yeah. Even if it's a group of 2 or 3, that's the start, isn't it?
Yes, I think at the start, I think it might be better to have a slightly bigger audience, and then it's not so personal.
Yeah, no, but it's very difficult, isn't it? Because you can write something and think, yes, that's so good, but you're not looking at it objectively as much as you try at times. And or sometimes you write something and you think, oh, I'm just not feeling this, I'm not getting it. But someone will give you the encouragement to think, yeah, well, you are actually, or help you slightly shape it, or so on. So it's really, really good. But there are, of course, a lot of, as you say as well, online. There are online writers groups where people share work and critique each other's work and whatnot.
Yes, and I think with yourself now, you've if we look at your book deals, you'll soon be up to at least 6 published novels. That's quite an achievement in itself. But where do you think your passion for writing fiction came from?
I think it's always been that. I was thinking about this the other day about why do I, someone said, why do you want to write? And I think it's because I want to tell a good story with really good characters. And I suppose the reason I want to then be published is because you want people to go, yes, I like your story and I like your characters and I get it. And I think that's an amazing buzz. It feels fabulous, when you get someone goes, yes. And I've had quite a lot of feedback like that about My Husband's Lies. I think it was perhaps, for some people, it had a bit of a Marmite effect. You liked it or you didn't. But I've had so many people who've said, I absolutely love those characters. I got them. And it was brilliant. Yeah. And especially one relationship in it, which was a gay relationship as it happened. I think that touched a lot of people. And they really, really it really did the job. And that was wonderful. It's so lovely as a writer to get that feedback.
Yes, it's when I read Beneath the Skin, that the characters came across so strongly that you could relate to most of them.
Yes, yeah, and even if you did, people go, oh, I didn't like so and so, but I think the fact is, not everyone in life is nice, but I always try and give them a reason if they're not nice, or issues, behind the mask of the person. I try and explore why they are like they are. So there's a bit of psychology going in there as well.
Yeah. Now back to Convictions, and you must be an old hand at book launches now. So what was the launch of Convictions like?
Well, it was a bit different because it was only last Monday, a week ago today, and Bloodhound is very much, they're an online publisher mainly. They do the paperback version, which pleases me because I like paperbacks, but they're very much online. So they had a Facebook group online launch where they, basically for the first day, they had all things going through the feed, and then they're sort of promoting it during that first week. So that's the main way they do it, pushing it. But they publish a lot, so they're on to someone else today.
Right.
But that's the way a publisher like that does it. It's very online, it's very present, and a quick turnover, I guess. So it's a bit different.
Yeah, it's not so easy to enjoy Prosecco and nibbles online, is it?
No, it's not quite the same. But I did get bought some flowers by my daughter and my husband. My husband, well, both sets of flowers were bought by my daughter, but one was ostensibly from my husband.
I know what you mean. We're sadly running out of time now. So in the minute or so we've got left, just let our listeners know everything about Convictions and where they can find more about Caro Land.
Right, yes. So Amazon is the place to download a copy of Convictions. And at the moment, it's on a 99p deal because it's just come out. That will go up. But you can also get the paperback on Amazon, or in fact, you can go in any bookshop and say you'd like to order it as usual, and they can order it in. So you'll find out more about me and Caro Land on my website, which is carolineenglandauthor.co.uk. And there's I've got an author page on Facebook that I try and keep up to date as well. So yeah, you can find out more about that. And I'd love it what I would really like is if anyone does download a copy of Convictions, has a read. I love hearing the feedback. So please do come back to me and let's have a chat about it, because that's what makes it really fun as an author.
Maybe the next time you come on, we'll get a couple of readers on, and you can talk them through it.
Yeah, no, it would be fun. We could have like a book club discussion.
That'd be fantastic. Sounds like a great idea. Well, we've run out of time now. It's been absolutely wonderful talking to you as ever. The time has flown by. So thank you very much for coming on.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Now, earlier on, we heard from Steve Harley, and we're going to play out with another of his tracks. This is Steve's interpretation of the Hot Chocolate song Emma from his album Uncovered.
Since we were 5, so pretty, Emma was a star in everyone's eyes. When she said she'd be a movie queen, nobody laughed. Face like an angel, could be anything. Emmeline, Emmeline, I'm gonna write your name high on that silver screen. Emmeline, Emmeline, gonna make you the biggest star this world has ever seen. At 17, we were wed, worked day and night to earn our daily bread. And every day Emma would go out searching for that plate that never ever came her way. Emmeline, Emmeline, I'm gonna write your name high on that silver screen. Emmeline, Emmeline, gonna make you the biggest star this world has ever seen. Yeah. December night, when I opened the bedroom door to find a lion steel cold upon the bed, love letter lying on the bedroom floor. It read, darling, I love you, but I just can't keep on living on dreams no more. Tried so very hard not to leave you alone, but I just can't keep on trying no more. Emmeline, Emmeline, I'm gonna write your name high on that silver screen. Emmeline, Emmeline, gonna make you the biggest star this world has ever seen.
You've been listening to the Arts Show podcast with Mike Madden. Come back soon for more artists, authors, musicians and anyone else connected with the arts. We're going to play out with Mike Sanchez and I Don't Stand a Chance.
And baby, you hiding something that you don't want me to know, because I'm getting a vibe from way down the side, like you're just about ready to go. Can't tell me where you stayed last night. You just can't cope with treating me right. I'm on the road to heartbreak. Now's the time to tell me so, because I'm getting a chill like I'm gonna be ill. I know you don't want me no more. I won't be satisfied with your little white lies. Girl, I've only just begun to realize I don't stand a chance. I don't stand a chance. You don't wanna know and I can't make you dance. Well, I said goodbye. Find yourself another guy. I wish you were mine, but I'm losing my mind. I don't stand a chance. But you don't wanna love this man. Am I on the road to heartbreak? Now's the time to tell me so, because I'm getting a chill like I'm gonna be ill. I know you don't want me no more. I won't be satisfied with your little white lies. Girl, I've only just begun to realize I don't stand a chance. No, I don't stand a chance. You don't wanna know and I can't make you dance. Well, I said goodbye. Find yourself another guy. I wish you were mine, but I'm losing my mind. I don't stand a chance.